Unit 1. Why be financially literate? The disastrous consequences of financial illiteracy. Many people who are financially illiterate won't have a budget. This will make it hard for them to make ends meet because they will be unable to keep track of their spending, and they also won't know how much money they're making. If they use credit, they will often neglect to make their payments, or they will carry a balance from month to month, and a lot of interest will have to be paid on this balance. If they don't make their bills, such as credit cards and medical bills, it can ruin their credit, and that will stay on their report for up to 7 years. And then if they have bad credit, they're going to be suckered into high interest car loans, rent to own, payday loans, and other services that they wouldn't need if they were able to use their credit cards. But it's too late for them at this point. No retirement savings is another problem. And a lot of people think, oh, I'm too young and I don't need to save for retirement yet. But that's not true, because the earlier you save, the more time you allow for interest to compound and for your investments to grow exponentially. These people also will look at frugality as seeming pointless, and they might believe others are just lucky to be in their situation rather than having worked hard and adopted useful habits. So as you can see, you don't want to have financial illiteracy. You want to be financially literate so you can avoid these. And if you've already made some of these mistakes, there are ways that you can help with them. And I'll go over some of those later in this course. What can you do? Many of these things you'll be doing during this course. You can definitely start keeping track of your spending and figuring out how it compares to how much money you make each month. You should watch your credit report, and there's other reports that you should watch, such as check systems and Clue. Austerity measures, those would be reducing what you spend, just like many governments around the world have had to do recently. And then the money saved can be used to pay the highest interest debt first. And that's called the, the avalanche method, and the other one's the snowball method. But some people advocate paying the smallest debt first, and that makes sense psychologically, but not mathematically, because you should go for the highest interest debt first to reduce how much interest you have to pay. Increasing your income is one thing people don't think about a lot, but if you have income and you can negotiate higher wages, then that's going to help with your financial situation, as long as you're being responsible with that money. Now, plenty of people make a lot of money, but they don't spend it responsibly. And then you can also save money and watch your net worth grow, and that'll also be covered later in the sections on investing. What will you learn on the way? Financial literacy doesn't have to be something that you just read about and it stays on the printed page and it never applies to your life. In this course, there are several modules that are very action oriented. I'll give you specific steps on how to rebuild your credit, on how to negotiate a job interview or promotion, and on what you can do to avoid identity theft. As you take these steps, you are reading and learning. You are not just taking what you read and letting it go in one ear and out the other, but you're retaining and applying it. And you'll enjoy more freedom and autonomy, and you'll have more leverage. Now, that might sound cruel, but you can see that if you don't have any money saved, that you might be very reliant on your employer to keep allowing you to work there and make the income you need. Your parents, if you live with them, and if your partner is the breadwinner, then you can be reliant on him or her, and that might be bad for that relationship and bad for your sense of psychological health. These are some things we'll be covering later in the course. After you have a few months of savings, meaning that you can survive without a job or any income, you should start paying down your high interest debt. And you should definitely have sufficient insurance in case of disaster or emergency. Then you should contribute the maximum that you can to your Roth IRA, and particularly whatever part of your retirement plan that your employer will match if available. That basically doubles your money. You should continue to save, and after you have enough saving, some of your money should begin to be put into perhaps an index fund, and that could cover the whole S&P 500 or even the total world stock market if you wanted to. And typically those yield 8% a year on average over the past 80 years or so. And even in the past 10 years, they've had a high yield despite the 2008 financial calamity. Then you should look at putting money away into tax-deferred accounts such as health savings accounts and tuition plans. And of course, the IRA and other retirement plans are tax-deferred as well. But when you combine all these tax-deferred accounts together, you could significantly reduce your income tax liability, particularly if you're in the 25% tax bracket or above.